This talk is not about me. It is about the 70% of people working in creative industries who reported feeling burned out last year. 70%. This rate is huge and certainly problematic. But the bigger problem, I believe, is that many creatives still hesitate to talk about burnout, admit to burnout, and they don't know how to get themselves back on track. As a female creative leader at a Fortune 100 company navigating burnout, I lost connection with my purpose. What I know now is that I made a mistake. I probably made many mistakes, but I made one critical mistake. I didn't know how to get myself reconnected to my sense of self, my spirit. My hope in sharing my journey back with you is that I can support efforts to normalize this discussion and get creatives back on track. Because we can't afford our most imaginative minds to be burned out. Creativity is paramount to our world today. Without it, the individual and collective health of humanity suffers. If I look back to the beginning of 2020, I can say I was burned out, crispy, toast, tired, worn down. I had been working as a highly successful design creative for over 25 years. At the time, I was the senior director of a global design studio at Nike, a pretty intense role within a pretty intense company. At the time, I knew something was off, but I wasn't sure how to address it, let alone talk about it. As a leader, part of my job is to help my team navigate the work, what to prioritize and what they should be focused on. I was getting mixed messages from upper management about what they wanted us to prioritize and not prioritize. I felt betwixt and between without a clear path forward and was having trouble guiding them. Instead of being skeptical, I became cynical. For the first time in my career, I felt frustrated and ineffective. In June of 2020, collectively, we were all facing huge unknowns in a strange, kind of isolated way. Beyond looking for toilet paper and trying not to freak out, I was laid off from my job at Nike. I was both devastated and relieved. I knew I was burned out. I knew I needed rest. So I was actually thankful for the timing. My family was healthy. I was fortunate enough to have a little severance package from Nike, so my financial situation was okay. So I took a moment. I took a breath. I stopped doing. I allowed myself to be taken down several paths without knowing where they would lead me. I experienced a lot of shame, anger, grief, sadness, frustration, resentment. I kicked my meditation practices up a notch. I started drawing and painting again. I started to recall what made me want to be in the creative industry in the first place, which was the perfect place to look. You see, my painting practice took me back to my genius loci, that sense of spirit within myself. I was able to return from burnout better than I was before because I took this time. I used genius loci as something to get me back on track and connect back with myself, and you can too. So what is genius loci? Simply put, it is understood to be the sense of place that a particular location carries within it. Instead of being an intellectual exercise, you get it by being there in real time and space, at the actual location. I learned about it while studying architecture, specifically in the summer of 1992 in Italy. I spent the summer creating freehand drawings, such as this one, on the streets of a small Italian city called Vicenza, just 35 miles west of Venice. While visiting various architectural sites, such as the Villa Rotunda, we were instructed to draw the plan, section, elevation by hand. No tape measures, no rulers, no drafting. We measured the space by pacing it off, our bodies as the tools for scale. These exercises allowed us to integrate the idea of space and place somatically. One day, while working on some architectural details, I noticed a young German boy, maybe 4 years old, who was curious about what I was doing. We made eye contact, but he and his parents spoke no English, and I spoke no German. Slowly, he came closer to see my drawing, and I handed him one of my pencils. He started drawing on my page with me, his sense of what was going on alongside of mine. It felt playful and fun. I was proud of the work I was doing that summer. I was challenged, I was present, I was living into my creative way of being. That's why, when recovering from burnout in 2020, I realized that genius loci could be the spark I needed to equip me with the resilience to feel more alive again within myself. A mentor suggested that I try and connect these difficult emotions I was feeling with my painting practice. One night, I hung up a huge tarp in my studio and drew 3 large circles that were slightly overlapping. On the far left, I wrote the word fear. In the middle, the word sadness, and on the other side, the word anger. Slowly, I began to write phrases and questions directly on the canvas and began to paint. It wasn't at all a cerebral process. It was automatic. It was instinctual. At first slowly and then more rapidly. Outpoured color and words and energy and emotions all night. I began to make connections, so many connections between these core emotions and the experiences at the root of them. The next day, I tore anger off from the canvas. I turned it 90 degrees and worked that one section again, and a little bit more. Finally, I returned it to its partners. The 3 became friends, siblings, comrades. They are all the same. They are all me. I realized that genius loci was something that I could internalize. I found genius loci to be something different than the architectural idea. It became my own internal genius loci. I was able to connect my head and my body in time and space on the canvas. I was able to metabolize the experience of burnout. And I was able to come back as a creative leader, more resilient than before. I can say with confidence, I'm a better leader now than I was before that experience. So how do you do this? How do you find your genius loci, that unique sense of purpose within yourself? These 3 steps will guide you there. First, when you begin to doubt your creative purpose, remember that you are stronger and more powerful than you realize. This is a reminder that resilience and creativity go hand in hand. Make sure you carve out time to stop doing and detach. Secondly, let sorrow fuel your creative power, not silence it. Sorrow, fear, resentment, anger. At that moment, ask yourself, what shape is my sorrow? What color is it? What does it feel like, taste like, smell like? Get close to it, investigate it. Don't let these difficult emotions drain your sense of self and your purpose. Use them as energy to harness your creative practice, not silence it. And finally, reclaim the creative voice that's always been yours. Rediscover the awe, the joy that creative practice brings. Reclaim the first time you noticed you had a creative mind and why you went into the creative field in the first place. With these 3 steps, you'll get yourself back on track because you know your genius loci. The probability of burnout happening is very high. If or when it does, you'll get yourself back on track because you know what to do. You know your unique sense of purpose. Our teams could be more innovative, more creative, more productive if we remembered to return to this place. Remember what matters. The visit doesn't have to be long. It simply has to happen. My hope for you and for our world today is that you return as the most innovative, powerful, creative leader that you can. The time is now.